This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candlelights flicker and the air is deathly still, that is the time when Baconsale is present, participating in October with ghoulish delight. Welcome, foolish listener.
Yay! That's the Haunted Mansion thing.
I think you're just making up your own song.
No.
I figured we'd never actually do a Haunted Mansion episode, so this was
totally
eventually.
should. Save it for our Haunted Mansion show.
We'll see.
But welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zach.
And by the way, listener,
Jumping right
today
in.
is the last day to enter our Halloween giveaway, our October 2021
Yeah, do it
giveaway.
right now if you haven't done it.
Yes, do it right now as the airing of this episode, because this is the last day to do it if you're listening to it. Then we are giving away 4 passes to the
Great Room Escape.
Great Room Escape in Layton, where you
Yes.
can choose which room you want to do. A Countdown, Ghost Hotel, Houdini. There's a couple different options there.
So you can find these posts on Instagram. You do have to find the post.
Yes,
So
find the
Instagram,
post, enter.
Twitter, or Facebook.
Yes, and just comment on those posts to enter. Like the post, comment on the post, and like a page or follow us.
Please be
That's how
following
you
us.
enter.
Yeah, honestly.
Yes, because if you're not following us on social media, you're missing a lot of stuff.
Probably.
I mean, I was just about to say thank you for listening to our last episode.
Yeah, and we're going to feature Instagram today. Why?
Our last episode, our video game episode.
Yeah. We're going to do comments from that episode on Instagram because 3 females commented, and I was very happy considering
Yay.
the content and the show. Anyway,
In general?
yeah, just generally this show. At DC Foster says, I still have Doom 3.5-inch floppy disks. This was my release after a stressful day, working full-time and in graduate school. I know it dates me as old, but no, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is
Having
way cool.
those actual original floppy disks, that's
Oh,
super
man,
cool.
I'd love that. I don't think I have a disc drive anymore.
No, I wouldn't have it.
Not even a CD drive anymore.
No
way.
I
Yeah,
still
no
have
way.
one of those.
There might be one in the
You
car.
have a tape deck in your car. We
I
understand.
also have that, yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Tess
heard-
has a tape deck.
Yeah.
I heard about those in history class.
Ouch.
Okay, at Buffalo Beck says, okay, hear me out. Nancy Drew PC games. Not all of them would fit in the horror genre, but I think Shadow at Water's Edge and Ghost at Thornton Hall fit in there. Hey, I put a thing about tentacles, so you're fine.
Yes.
Ooh.
I played Nancy Drew growing up and made my little brother sit next to me while I played. Watch a walkthrough on YouTube if you aren't familiar. Some of my favorites.
Awesome.
That does sound kind of
That's
fun.
it for a Nancy Drew show.
That's happening.
Hardy Boys versus Nancy
Hardy
Drew.
Boys versus
Let's do
Nancy
it.
Drew. Yes, I love it.
Nancy Drew.
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys.
Come on.
Joe and
Oh.
Frank. Come on.
This just happened. Then at Shelly Pants says, well done, guys. The liquor from Resident Evil will forever haunt my dreams. Had to always make sure I had a flamethrower before doing that section
Absolutely.
of the game, and my heart would still race.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Great
We love-
comments.
Yeah.
We love hearing your feedback. We had a fun time talking about all those video games last time.
Cool sound effects, too.
That's
Kind of
not
fun.
where- Yeah, it was a lot. Ken, thank you for the editing on that. That was a lot of fun.
fun.
Especially
If
the
you-
ending with the House of the Dead
Please.
2 dialogue.
I know a lot of you guys stop listening when we get to the point
When we
where
start wrapping up the
we
show.
start talking about our Twitter handles, but listen through to the very end. It'll be worth it, I promise.
It's ridiculous.
But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We are talking about spoopy places like
Spoopy?
haunted.
Don't say spoopy.
Haunted houses.
Haunted locations.
Yeah.
These aren't houses.
Haunted locations.
Around the world.
And, you know, we here at Baconsale,
Yeah.
we pride ourselves on being knowledgeable about these types of things.
I've traveled sometimes.
Yes, but occasionally we like to bring in a guest who may be even more knowledgeable, and we have that today with our guest. How are we introducing you? Because we're
Beaker.
revealing something right here.
Welcome, Beaker.
Yes.
Right? We're
Yep.
going to mess up a few times.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, Beaker. Except for we've mentioned you at the end of every show for the past year or
Anything
so.
you'd like to
For
tell
the past
the listener,
year,
Beaker?
you know what's funny is for the first 2 months, nobody knew who I was.
Nope.
Hmm.
And then when you had your season finale last year, I revealed it to Kent.
I think it's a big reveal. Just I knew.
He knew. He knew, but I was like, hey, guess what? And he's like, what? And I just sent him my
So-
profile picture.
And by this you mean that the Shadow joined.
Yes.
But the Shadow is officially Beaker.
Yep.
Beaker, can you
Hey.
give us some of your history real quick as far as like podcasting goes? Because people will be very familiar with your voice.
Yes.
Yes, which was the case when we did the Zoom call for the Bacon Council.
Yes.
I just had the profile picture of the Shadow up. And as soon as I started talking, your guest from last week, Nicole Hell, was like, I know who that is. That's Tim.
Yep.
And I'm like, sure is. And I turned on my camera so everyone could
Yeah.
see me.
Yeah. So now
so-
you know, listener, now you know the Shadow is Beaker.
You may or may not hear the shadow at the end of every episode. It's probably going to be Beaker.
We'll read whatever you put on there. As long
So,
as
so tell us about the shows, your experiences, and why we would bring you in to talk about haunted locations around the world.
So I have been doing paranormal investigations for almost 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in December.
Awesome.
My first ever location that I investigated was right here in Tooele, Utah. It was the Asylum 49.
Don't give the location of the Bacon Cave.
they know we're in Tooele now. They know we're in Asylum 49.
Right here in Tooele in Asylum 49.
We actually
we're
okay,
recording.
everyone. The Bacon Cave is in Asylum 49. Now you know.
Yep, totally gave it away.
They
But
always
yeah,
thought it was an Area 51.
We wish.
I've been investigating for close to 8 years. I was part of a team for 6, 7 of those years called Wisps, that's located out of Provo area. I did a podcast with them that originally was called The Wisp Show. I changed the name to The Supernatural Hour. 'cause
Wisely.
I felt it fit better.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is The Wisp Show actually stood for, so WISP was Wasatch Investigative Society for Paranormal Studies. I just, at the point, like, we were running out of topics for ghosts, so I felt going supernatural.
Okay, that makes
open
sense.
it up to more things, and that's when we started talking about vampires. I remember the first time I met Joel, he's like, I listened to your episode on Jack the Ripper. It sent me down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Curse your curiosity.
Yes. Very much so.
2020 was kind of rough for me, and I just felt
Just you. Okay.
Really?
Yep. Sorry. No, I took it all on. Well, being an emotional empath, it was extremely
Right.
difficult for me because what you were feeling, I was also feeling.
Right.
And it was tough. I ended up leaving the team that I was on, and a couple months later, I actually, some of the guys that were on the other team with me, we got together and we formed a new podcast and a new paranormal team. The new team is called Energy Visions of the Paranormal, or EVP for short.
Perfect.
And we have our podcast, EVP Podcast.
Where can people find that?
You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
Okay.
and Anchor. We also have a YouTube channel. We do video of the podcast and throw it up on YouTube as well.
Do you ghost investigations and discussions on that podcast?
Yes. We've done Benson Grist Mill twice this year, and that's about it. I'm actually in the morning doing a house cleansing.
Oh.
That will be
like
talked about on my-
a spiritual cleansing. We're not
Spiritual
talking like
cleansing,
maid
yes.
services.
Yeah,
You're going-
I put on the French maid outfit and I go over to the
It's
house.
all part of the cleansing.
Yes.
Spoopy.
Yeah.
Spoopy.
No, stop saying spoopy.
But I do spiritual cleansings, and I also do I do energy work. I'm an energy worker. I don't like using the word healer because I don't feel I'm healing you. I'm just helping you release negative emotions and feelings and helping you be happier with your life.
It's a little bit of a background. So I was at an investigation a couple months ago with Beaker here, and it was just us two in a mill. We were getting a lot of energy. I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but I think you were a little more in tune with what was going on.
Yeah.
I don't really understand any of this, right? I try, but I don't. He says, I need you to hold these stones because something is trying to attach itself to you. So just hold on to these. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I will hold those stones.
I think I gave you my entire bag.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
how many
"Here."
I needed.
I'm like, well, it's easier than
Yeah.
to rifle through and find the ones I need.
Is that worded off spirits and women? You don't know what was in the bag.
The timing, wow. So we brought you here because, it's October, right? And you were the perfect guest for October. How much you go to not only residential places, but also abandoned places in the middle of the night, which I just love. We love talking about here. We love visiting. And so what we're doing here is we're talking about locations around the world that I think you've been to a few, right?
I've been to a couple of these, yes.
But before we get into that, Ken,
Oh, yeah.
as a guest, Beaker,
It's time.
We have some questions for you.
I know it's the lightning round.
Yes, it is the lightning round, which means I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to give your answer, even if you don't have a strong opinion. Make a decision, make someone happy, or make someone angry.
Friend
It's all
test.
about it.
It's a friend test.
A little bit. It's like one of those 17 quizzes, 17 magazine
Yeah.
quizzes. Find out which Baconsale member you most resemble.
And just remember, Kent sounds like this. Yes. And Joel sounds like this. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Can't tell who's saying yes. But are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Question 1. Which is better, Karate Kid or Karate Kid 2?
I'm going to have to go with Karate Kid.
Yes.
You had to.
Which is worse, Star Wars Episode 1 or Star Wars Episode 2?
Oh, Clone Wars is terrible. Two is the worst.
Do you rate movies using stars or letter grades?
I go stars.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is the more America movie, Rocky IV or Independence Day?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Rocky IV.
Okay.
Is Night Before Christmas a Halloween movie? or
Halloween.
Christmas
Don't even.
movie?
It's Halloween.
Buffy or X-Files?
I'm going to go with the X-Files because to me it's more paranormal.
All right. Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings.
Which is more Christmassy, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Die Hard.
People just don't know. Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables?
I've never seen either one of them, so I'm going to go with my paranormal backgrounds. Phantom of the Opera.
Labyrinth or Neverending Story?
Oh, Labyrinth.
All right. And then How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or 10 Things I Hate About You?
10 Things I Hate About You. I love that movie.
All right, I got creamed though.
I was going to say, Beaker, you're my new favorite friend.
You're Joel in this quiz.
It's funny.
This
It's
video
like,
quiz.
For the longest time, like, you've been my favorite host.
Oh,
But
thank you for saying that now. I'll take it, I guess.
Honestly, like, what got me listening to Baconsale was your fictional true crime episode.
Oh, from last year.
Yes.
That's a lot of fun.
I honestly wasn't really listening to the show before that. That one popped up for some reason. I listened to it, and I'm mad at everyone that voted and got it out of the first round at the end of the year voting.
Yeah,
I'm in
that
the
show
bracket.
lost to a potato.
What doesn't?
I was like, I don't think people realize the time it took and the editing. Like, being a podcaster myself, I understand what you went through.
I'll pay
putting
you
that
later.
show
Thank
together.
you.
He
It's
is
fine,
buttering your
man.
ego after
I know.
bashing you on that
I
quiz.
know. I don't know. A lot of backhanded compliments here.
Oh,
But I love it. I'll take it.
So now that, and then I'm still waiting for my T-shirt that says Team Jacob, but crossed out and says Team Zach.
I know. I love this one. I love this idea.
Yeah, we should get Zach a t-shirt.
We really should.
Okay, so
that way, I
for
can,
like a
that
year
way I
now.
can make you all feel good.
we're jumping around, and thank you for answering that friend test. We know where you stand. But this is kind of a tiering show.
Kind of.
And so we're going to talk about haunted locations. You're going to introduce them all. Joel, I know you have a lot of research as well.
Tim Beaker, I wanted to thank you, by the way, for the research I got to do on this, because this was fun to do. You did an amazing amount of research yourself to figure out what were some of the most popular haunted locations out there. And then I got to watch a bunch of YouTube videos and read about these places, and it really got me into the Halloween spirit very quickly. And I was like, yes, this is the kind of research I love doing.
This was
Yeah.
my goal. Like,
Yeah.
We had to cut it down to 13, which is sad.
I had
'Cause there's probably-
74.
13's a spooky number.
It is. We do
have-
have a scoring system. Joel, could you explain that?
We do. So we have these 13 places we're going to be talking about, and then we're going to give a ranking of sorts. The first of which being we wouldn't want to go there at all. This is the highest one. It's like that is the scariest
It's like
level.
tier one scariest.
Don't even want to go. Would never stay there. Like especially never spend the night.
Yeah.
But then the middle level, which is would go there but not stay the night.
Kind of like a tour, like
Yes.
a tour group, right?
Yeah,
you go for the day.
Even that.
I was going to say,
group. Wander
during
by
the
yourself.
day.
Sure. You can do
just
that,
because
too.
you want to visit the place but never stay there.
Never
Mostly
invite
so you
anything.
can say you've been there.
Yeah.
So that's tier 2, essentially.
And then the tier 3 would be the would spend the night there alone. Like you know what? No big deal.
By yourself.
Yeah.
Not even a buddy?
No. Spend the night there.
Not
alone.
even with Zach?
No. Well, maybe he could be the filmographer.
You guys like put me in a bag and take me everywhere. We all know
That's
it.
right. And also, since we know that some people, like Beaker here, is much more seasoned when it comes to this thing and would probably be like, I'd stay anywhere.
He ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Whereas Zach would be more kind of the, I'm not going any of these places.
Oh, these are all wouldn't stay theirs for me.
Yeah. So we actually had to break it down where we can only give ourselves 4 wouldn't stay theirs, 5 would go there but not spend the nights, and 4 would spend their night there alone.
And
So we
Beaker,
had to
we're
break it
sorry. We're keeping you in our rules, so you do
Yes.
have to pick some that you wouldn't go to.
It's going to be very difficult for me because pretty much I don't really. I think 2 of these maybe are actually.
I'm excited to hear
tier
about
ones
it. Okay.
I think there's 2 tier 1s, actual
But
tier
we're
1s,
holding
but
you to Bacon standards.
because we have the rules. I had to pick, and they may not necessarily be tier 1s, but they're going to be tier 1s for the second.
Okay.
Yes, and you can find all these places online. You can find video. I actually found YouTube videos of all these places of like showing like they're telling different stories and showing tours of them. So it was fun to get a feel of it. So you can go out there and find them too as we talk about them and get a feel for it yourself and decide where you would fit in one of these tiers.
I'm pretty sure if you have Discovery Plus, you can find most of these places on Ghost Adventures as well.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get right into it.
We're going to start with the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. If you don't know anything about this house, it was about 1881. Sarah Winchester, her husband died of tuberculosis. When he died, she actually inherited all of his fortune, which was about $20 million, and a half of the Winchester Repeating Arms stock. So that $20 million is about today's standards, $550 million is what she inherited when her husband passed.
Wow. It's more than I make in a month.
So the stock alone, the stock that she got, the 50% of the company, that gave her about $1,000 a day.
What?
Wow.
So adjusted for inflation to our time, she was making $27,000 a day.
So when you say
Elon Musk.
when you say the money that she was given, that she inherited, he considered this blood money before his death because of the rifle.
Yes.
And how many deaths it caused, right? And didn't he warn her?
I read that a medium, a psychic in Boston, channeled her late husband and told her that she needed to leave her home in New Haven and travel west, where she needed to build a home and keep
Wait, it's a
building
psychic
the home.
that said this, so
Yeah.
okay.
Told her to keep building on this home to help appease the spirits of all the people who've been killed by Winchester rifles.
Yep.
And this house, like when they say keep building, they said that it was like 24/7 someone was building something on the house
For 38 years.
Yeah.
for 38 years.
crazy.
Yeah.
With no plan. There was no like master architect figuring out where everything goes. It's just like build a stairwell here, put a window here.
And there's a feature film based on this, but it's horrible.
Oh, it's
Came out
terrible.
about 2 years ago.
Helen Mirren's in it.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah.
But it does kind of tell you what the house is like a little bit, because it has all these secret passageways, there's skylights on the floor, staircases that lead to nowhere, trap doors.
They've got
100
the door to nowhere that actually opens up on the second story. That
13-foot drop.
Oh, fantastic.
161 rooms, including 40 bedrooms, 2 ballrooms, 1 completed, 1 unfinished, 47 fireplaces, 1,000 panes of glass. There's a lot of stained glass in there too. 17 chimneys, 2 basement levels, 3 elevators.
Joel, do you realize you're describing the Bacon Cave?
Well,
Not in Asylum 49.
We modeled, actually, guys, I should tell you this. When I was visiting a psychic in Boston, they told me to keep building the Bacon Cave.
Or we're going to die?
Or until spirits will haunt us.
Oh, no.
That's just how it is now.
Yes.
It was originally 7 stories.
Yeah.
It had 7 floors.
The Winchester Mansion, yeah.
Yeah. 7 stories until 1906, the great earthquake that happened in San Francisco damaged a lot of the house, so they just took off the top 4 layers. Mm-hmm. They said that she would actually conduct like daily seances with mediums to talk to the good spirits in the home, and these spirits are the ones that gave her the plans to build the house. So
She was holding seances like every night at midnight. She'd
Yes.
go hold these seances.
Yeah,
which
she
is
would.
creepy.
They kept building day and night. I think there was rumors of like one worker that stopped building for whatever reason, and he was let go. She did a lot of things in like the number 13 to appease the ghost. I know she actually had an actual Tiffany like chandelier built and put in the house. There's a stained glass window in the house. There's windows that look into other rooms in the house that don't even go outside.
Oh, great.
There's like a giant cupboard that opens up into like a really small cupboard. It's weird.
So she believed that there were spirits. She was told that. But I want to know about each of these places. What kind of haunts are there, or what have people experienced that they've reported?
So in this particular location, the spirit that people know the most, his name is Clyde. He was one of the workers, and they see him sometimes walking around pushing a wheelbarrow in the basement, or sometimes they'll see him in the ballroom trying to fix the fireplace. And they've actually had people like, hey, we really like that actor over there that's fixing the fireplace. I like that he's dressed up in period clothing. And the workers are like, who?
They're not just like, oh, that's Clyde. Yeah, we know. Well, it doesn't sound very scary, though.
It
No.
doesn't?
No. A nice guy working on the
Oh,
fireplace?
Clyde. I think about a house in general.
No, the house, the architecture sounds terrifying because I feel like you'd get lost.
Yeah.
But I haven't really heard anything about, other than like shadowy figures that people have seen, any threatening presences, other than the fact that she did die of heart failure in 1922.
There's one of the maintenance guys that said he heard footsteps above him in the water tower. So he went up to go tell the person, like, hey, this area is off limits. And when he got there, the footsteps were now above him again. And he just kept following the footsteps, like upstairs to the roof, to where he couldn't find anybody. And then there's reports of like people on tours, they feel like tugs on their shirts and on their skirts and stuff like that. But then there's also like people think they see like shadow figures around the corners and down the hallways and stuff.
Okay, so to me, this feels like more of like the roller coaster of going on a ghost investigation and having those experiences, but not being terrified, right? Something is happening, but it's just fun enough.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying this is would go for the day. I would go on a tour of this place. I don't want to stay overnight because I actually feel like I would probably sleepwalk or something would happen where I would get lost in the house. And I don't want to challenge anything to see if there's anything threatening, but I would like something to pinch me as I'm going on a tour.
I always want that.
So you're saying, what was the
So it's tier 2 for me.
Okay, kind of middle of the road?
Yes.
Because can I have something that's going to change your mind right here?
Okay.
There was only one working toilet in the Winchester.
Oh, I'm out.
13.
I am out.
All other
There's
restrooms-
160 rooms, Joel.
All of the restrooms were decoys to confuse the spirits.
13 bathrooms.
And Kent, that one bathroom has a big old window on it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the The door's a window.
I don't even want to go anymore.
The other thing is like Sarah wouldn't sleep in the same room every night. She would sleep in different rooms every night
makes
to
sense.
confuse the spirits.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That was a fun fact for sure. So, Joel, what about you?
For me, I wouldn't stay there.
At all.
This is one
you
where
don't even want to go there.
Well, okay. Truth be told, I do want to go there, and this is one that kind of got pushed in the upper tiers because I'd like to go there for a tour. I've always wanted to visit this place, but it just kind of scares me because, first of all, the whole point that she was building all these rooms was to ward off malevolent spirits. She's not building anymore, so I'm just like, that could be a place where something crazy happens. So I'm going to put this up in my wouldn't stay there because, no, thank you.
Beaker.
Okay, so I've actually been to the Winchester Mansion.
Is it pretty cool?
Yes, it is very cool. And the person that I travel with is actually a very gifted medium, so she can see and hear spirits. I am kind of sensitive to spirit energy, so I can feel their energies. There is nothing malevolent in this home. So for me, this is a tier 3. I would definitely spend the night alone.
Okay.
Alone.
Alone. There
Okay.
is nothing malevolent in this house.
I have to say it twice just to make it
in,
real.
in my opinion, there's nothing scary in this house. So I would have no issues. I
Do you
do
like
know,
the history of the house,
I do
too?
love the history of the house. I bought the documentary when I was there. And fun fact, they don't actually mention this on the tour because I don't think they know. Sarah Winchester herself still haunts the house.
Oh, so
Yeah.
now she's a haunt.
Smell roses.
I actually felt her presence, and it was confirmed by my medium friend that Sarah Winchester
Okay.
is actually there in the house still.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, for me, this is definitely tier 3. Not afraid of this house. I've been there. It's
Okay, 1, 2, 3
Fine.
on that one.
Okay, I'm the chicken.
We'll get there.
You and I will go to another place, Joel.
Okay.
Next up, we have the Queen Mary.
So the Queen Mary is a ocean liner that is currently docked in Long Beach, California.
Gross.
Yeah, kind of. It is a good lobster place right by there. I've seen this from afar. I've never gone in.
I've been in it.
So this is have you? That's I haven't been there. It's on my list. Of
Let's
places to
go.
When we get to the end of this, I might have some disappointing news for you. So the Queen
You won't
Mary,
go on a road trip with me?
No,
Okay.
I will definitely go on a road trip with you. Just maybe not to the Queen
Okay,
Mary. And You'll
okay.
find out why here in a minute.
Hey, Kent, I'll go on a road trip with you.
Yay.
I'll go on a boat trip with you.
I ghost hunted with you. Like we got to that
Yeah,
location.
we spent
and I'm
time
like,
together. It's quality.
I've never hunted with you. We're doing this.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the Queen Mary.
So the Queen Mary was an ocean liner that transported. It was a luxury ocean liner, mainly for like kind of like rich, well-to-do people. And it would bring people from England to the U.S. And it operated from 1936 to 1967. Now, during this time, when World War II hit, they actually painted it gray and used it to transport military personnel.
Yeah, they called it the Gray
They
Ghost.
called it the Gray Ghost, yes. I do know at one point, like, I can't remember the name of the ship, but it crashed into another ship at one point, and it ended up killing something like 300 people.
Jeez.
This thing was amazing. It was like, it worked really well for the military at the time. I believe it would travel about 35 knots, which was great for like evading the German U-boats, because I think the torpedoes only went about 23 knots.
Yeah, we understand that
I
for
prefer,
sure.
well,
I don't understand knots at all. I just know.
I prefer garlic knots.
Slip knots.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it was fast, it was able to outrun the German U-boats. After World War II was over, it went back to being a luxury ocean liner until it was officially retired in 1967. One of the fun things about like how it got its name, they wanted to actually name it the Queen Victoria. The builders went to the king and they're like, hey, we want to name this after the greatest queen of all time. And he's like, great, Queen Mary would love that.
Awkward.
So they didn't want to correct the king because that's not something you do.
Right.
So it became the Queen Mary. Once it was docked, Long Beach took it over. They turned it into a luxury hotel that you could stay at. And I believe there was one room, and it was, I think it's
B340.
Yeah.
yes, the most haunted room in the hotel.
In that room in 1948, a passenger died of unexplained causes. So they didn't have much information. He just died. And they left it there. And then in nearly 20 years later, a woman was staying in the room and her covers were pulled off of her and a man was standing at the foot of her bed and then he disappeared. And that's what kind of seems like the theme of the Queen Mary is things will show up, whether it's at the pool, the boiler room, or whatnot. And there's a lot of creepy areas, like specific, like people will go investigate and whatnot. But these things will show and then disappear. Like they want to make their presence known and then go.
They say as many as 150 different spirits may still call the Queen Mary home. There was a crew member who was crushed to death by a watertight door. There's a woman who is dressed in all white who dances by herself in one of the luxury suites. Multiple adults and children in like the 1930s era.
So speaking of the hatch door death that happened,
Yes.
so this man was crushed in a door and his ghost will actually be in the area and whistles behind you.
Ooh.
Sometimes you can hear him running and then like stopping. Nobody wants
They
that.
say there's temperature changes, slamming doors, knocking on the walls. You'll hear screams and you'll see lights flickering and children crying. It's
So you've been there. So tell us about your experience.
I went to the Queen Mary with my family. We went on a tour, and I feel stupid, but the scariest thing to me on the entire tour was when you get to see the propeller. Mm-hmm. You go in this dark room, and there's just there's a glass thing you can look through, and you can see the propeller of the ship. And I have what I found out is called
submechanicophobia.
Submechanicophobia. Things under the water, just big mechanical things under the water, for some reason creep me out. Mm-hmm. And that really burned in my brain as a horrifying moment of being able to see that propeller. That's why I'm giving this a wouldn't stay there. The whole idea of the ship.
For the propeller?
That's one of the main reasons.
Okay.
I got that visceral gut feeling of I don't want to be here.
But you already went, so wouldn't this be your tier 2?
Well, I've been there. Mm-hmm. I'm saying I don't really want to go back.
There.
It's a little. It's the tier 1. It's a creepy place for me. It's a boat on the water. It's got a lot of ghosts going on. I get creeped out by this place. Even just watching the videos I watched of the tours. Mm-hmm. So I'm out.
All right, Tim, what about you?
So I actually know several people that have stayed on the Queen Mary overnight.
And live to tell about it?
Live to tell about it.
I hear the beds are uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Mm-hmm. I know someone that actually listens to this podcast that's been there. I am giving this wouldn't stay there as well.
Tier 1?
It's a tier 1.
Wow.
It was really tough, tier 1 and tier 2 for me on this one.
You wouldn't stay.
I wouldn't stay here. And the main reason is that the haunted room was closed for 30 years.
Yes.
When they reopened it, I believe in 2018, one of the more expensive rooms.
It was $500.
Yes, $500 a night. They equip it with Ouija board, tarot cards, and crystal ball.
Yeah. They say we have amenities like a Ouija board. I'm like, no.
Amenities?
No, thank you.
So knowing that and knowing how careless people are, I'm not a huge fan of Ouija boards. I don't think Ouija boards are all necessarily bad all the time.
We left you a marker on your door in human blood.
Right. So because of the fact that they here's these tools that you don't know how to use, and you're probably going to summon stuff that you probably shouldn't summon.
Yeah.
I would be messing around with it by myself.
Yeah. I'm giving this a wouldn't stay there at all.
Yeah. Look, I wasn't armed with this information. This is total ignorance here, but I would stay the night by myself.
But you get terrified of water stuff too.
I do.
You think a shark was next to you.
I probably would. I would think the boat would sink, actually. And actually walking through those hallways, if the lights were flickering as they do, I would have a really hard time. I would just get right under the covers in room B340, and I would just hide, even as these shadows were laughing at me. But just to say I stayed on the Queen Mary overnight, I would do it.
See, but here's why I wouldn't go there. Besides the Ouija board and stuff looking at the Queen Mary website, it looks like it's not operation anymore.
Okay.
From Wikipedia, it almost sounds like that the owners were running into financial problems because of COVID.
Oh, so you're saying it may not even be
I don't think it's even
available
open anymore.
Last I heard, I believe the city of Long Beach actually took it over to try to help restore it and get it back to going.
As I can tell, as of right now, I don't believe it's open to the public.
That's too bad. Okay.
But that's one of the contributing factors. But the whole seances and stuff,
no, thank you.
I don't know what people
I didn't know.
I don't know what people are bringing into this room or this hotel. So that's why
I would show up with my blankie and pillow, and then I'd see a Ouija board. I'd be like, I gotta go.
I'll just give you my
I
EMF.
really gotta go.
I'll just give you my EMF meter. You seem to be
no,
fine with
thank
that.
you. No, I'll come with your stones.
Okay.
Next up, we have the Ancient Ram Inn.
Okay, so the Ancient Ram Inn is located in Gloucestershire. I probably said that wrong.
It's Worcestershire.
Gloucestershire, England.
Yeah, Zach, could you
Would you
pronounce
like me to
that?
pronounce that? It's actually.
Oh, there's a demon.
No.
Well, good thing I'm here.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't bring I do have my crystals in my car, so we're good. So this is actually in England. It's so this was built in 1145, and it was used by a priest who kept slaves and workers there to help build the St. Mary's Church. It was situated on 2 ley lines. Ley lines are places that are believed to have spiritual energy from Stonehenge.
Okay. It's directly linked to Stonehenge, right?
Yes. So yeah, there's ley lines that go throughout all of the earth, and in my personal opinion, a lot of the energy that we get from crystals and stuff like that come from Stonehenge. That's also
so there's legitimacy to Stonehenge, you think?
Yes, I think so. It's number 1 on my bucket list.
Oh, okay.
I want to go there. I want to feel what the energy's like.
I've been there.
What?
Actually,
Look at you, world traveler.
I went to that.
I know.
Nicole actually gave me a crystal that came from a quarry near Stonehenge. And
When I
it's
say
my
went
new
there,
favorite
I went near it. And we pulled off the side of the road and took pictures.
Did it cost money?
It's super expensive to go look at these stones. and you still don't get that close to them. You still stay pretty far away from them.
Yeah, they have the fence around it now.
Yeah.
This place is also has been reported that there was child sacrifice.
So I want to go into that. So a guy,
of course you do.
Of course I do.
Family friendly. Kids may listen to the show. Kent, go ahead.
I'm going to keep it fairly clean.
Okay.
So a guy named John Humphreys.
Fairly.
Yeah, he bought the building in the 1960s, and he said his first night, a demonic force grabbed his arm and dragged him out of bed and threw him across the room. And in that time, since the 60s, his family has left him. They're like, we will no longer stay at this house. If you're going to stay there, we're out. So his wife and 3 daughters no longer live there. Mm-hmm. And in his time living there, he found, like you said, evidence of devil worship and sacrifice. And he found skeletal remains of children.
You can just say skeletal remains.
Skeletal remains
That's
under
fine.
the staircase and daggers that look like they were used as sacrificial daggers.
You found broken daggers, which apparently is a pagan ritual that after the daggers are broken, they can never be used again.
Not only that, but there is a witch's room.
Yes.
For a witch that was burned there in the 1500s, and she currently haunts the location.
Woof.
Yeah, right? It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's also been a high priestess that's been spotted sitting on a bed, and a centurion on horseback that has been seen walking around and through the walls.
Is the high priestess single?
I don't
Stop
know.
it.
I don't know,
Can't.
because there's a monk in the most haunted room, and even a succubus is said to slip in the beds of visitors.
Wait, so there's a lot of things in this. It's not a very big location.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's a tiny dingy pub basically
Yeah.
converted into an inn.
Like the rooms are small, right? The beds take up most of the rooms, but it seems like there's like a room dedicated to each presence.
And I watched the video on this as well, and it just felt like every room was just cluttered. Like there's just stuff everywhere.
Had I actually read the part about the succubus, I'd probably rank this differently. But
I'm curious.
because I've actually worked on a residential case that was dealing with the succubus, and that thing was probably one of the most evil things I've had to deal with.
Really?
It got to the point that all 3 mediums in my group were sending messages, or one of them was sending text messages in Latin, dealing with the succubus, and then the other 2 were having all sorts of problems. As soon as I was like, sorry, we can't help you, all the issues stopped. But I gave this I would go there.
I feel like you just started this crazy story and you just had to stop it for some reason. I think at another point we need to go into that. But yeah.
Yeah, I just, for the sake of time.
Yeah. So what tier do you give it?
I'm giving this, I would go there. I would visit, I would go on a tour, but I wouldn't.
So tier 2 area.
Tier 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would never go there. This sounds terrifying. This is tier 1 for me.
Really?
Don't even want to see it. I feel like there's enough there that I'd be terrified. And it's not just like things showing themselves and disappearing. It seems like there could be bodily harm. And so I'm going to avoid it like crazy.
Whereas I'm going to spend the day there.
Just the day.
I'd go on
Okay.
a tour because I'd spend the day there because it was like kind of interesting to look. Like it's one of the oldest inns in England, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. But it looks cluttered and old and dirty. Like it's really dingy looking. I wouldn't want to sleep in that bed at all.
No.
I doubt it has indoor plumbing. Like this is one where I'm like, yeah, I'll just go through the morning tour and then be like, thank you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. Yeah, I'm terrified of it.
Next up, we have the Stanley Hotel.
All right, the Stanley Hotel is located in Estes Park, Colorado. So in 1903, there was a gentleman named Freeland Oscar Stanley, who was the owner of Stanley Steamers. He got tuberculosis. Now, one of the things that they recommended for the cure of tuberculosis, because they didn't know anything about it at the time really, was to be outside in
Fresh
the sunshine,
air. Yeah.
fresh air. Fresh, dry air with lots of sunshine, and you wanted a hearty diet. So this guy was like, he was really sick, he was getting really skinny. They moved to Denver, Colorado, him and his wife Flora, in March of 1903. A month later, in June, one of his doctors recommended he go to Estes Park. Shortly after getting to Estes Park, he started feeling better, and he started recovering from tuberculosis.
Okay.
Now, it was like a 4-year process. He fully recovered in 1907. He decided that he wanted to turn this into like a destination resort town for like well-to-do people.
Okay.
So he actually bought part of the land and built this hotel.
Yeah, 140 room Colonial Revival Hotel.
So it was, they finished constructing the main hotel and the concert hall in 1909, and then the manor was in 1910. In 1911, there was a gas explosion that injured about 8 people, including Elizabeth Wilson, who was actually thrown from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor and broke both of her ankles. She did survive, but it's said that...
But the ghosts of her ankles still haunt that floor today.
Ankles.
Ankle ghosts.
Ankle ghost. No, she apparently still haunts the most haunted room in the hotel, which is room 207.
217.
217, sorry, I
Right?
said that wrong. Yes, 217.
Which is funny because so famously, the Stanley Hotel is known for The Shining.
Yes.
That is the hotel that inspired The Shining, but it's not the one where it was filmed. In the movie, it's actually the Timberline Lodge in Oregon. But this one, Stanley Hotel in Colorado, is the one where Stephen King was staying with his family, and they came right at the end of the season when they were just about to close, so they were the only ones in the hotel. And
mirroring The Shining.
And that's the thing is he kind of thought about how cool it was to be in there, and then he had a nightmare one of the nights where his son was being chased by the corridors with his eyes wide and screaming, and a fire hose was chasing him around the hotel. Then he woke up and started writing The Shining right then. And when they did the miniseries, they did film it at this place. But the Stanley Hotel, and in the Stanley Hotel, in The Shining, room 237 is the one that they show and showcase. But in the book and in the actual event, it was room 217 was the haunted room.
So I'm reading that in this hotel, they'll see shadowy figures. They'll hear eerie laughter, flickering lights. Things move on their own. For example, like a phantom may play the piano.
Yes, Mrs. Stanley, they say, will play the piano, and she smells like roses.
But I haven't heard many horrific things, other than a lot of stuff happening.
So I don't believe that anyone has actually died at the hotel.
Okay.
One of the things that happens with spirits or with hauntings is sometimes you go to a place that was familiar to you when you were alive, or a place that you enjoyed. So being that the Stanley Hotel was like a destination place, it was a resort town, it's somewhere people enjoyed going. So it would make sense that, when you pass on, you're going to go to somewhere you loved being when you were alive. So that's part of the reason why I think this place is haunted. Like I said, with the maid that worked there, obviously she loved it. That's probably why she's still there. There is a spirit named Lucy. They don't know if she was a runaway or if she was a homeless girl. She hangs out in the concert hall.
Is she nice?
She is very nice.
Okay, good.
I know from personal experience.
All right.
Because this is the second place on this list that I've actually been to.
Awesome.
Nice. It looks so cool.
It
Do
is
yourself
overnight?
a favor and check it out.
It is very cool. It is very cool. I love this place. Lucy actually interacted with us, and the crazy thing is I actually had on video from my cell phone her closing the door to the room that she haunts.
Ooh.
And when I went to upload it to Facebook, my phone's like, "You want to delete this video?" And I'm like, "No." I hit no, and it goes, "Video deleted." Only time I've ever had that happen with any of my videos.
Didn't want to be published.
No, she didn't. The whole place is really cool. I actually enjoyed.
And for that reason, I'm going to stay overnight there on my own.
So
it would be an experience, I feel. And nothing feels threatening. I don't think I'm in danger.
I'll agree with you as well. I gave this a spend the night alone at tier 3. Tier 3 sounds bad, but it's just I'm not as afraid of it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's a luxury resort, which is kind of cool. A spa and bed and breakfast, a restaurant.
Just
and
Google
apparently
pictures.
the ghosts are all kind of like nice, or at least, not unpleasant. In fact, they say that Mr. Stanley's ghost haunts the hotel, but he helps lost children find their parents.
Well, that's kind of nice.
And I'm like, that sounds like a good place to be. So I also gave it a spend the night alone.
So I think this is the first one that we were all agreeing on.
Okay.
I will spend the night alone in this one. This one is I have actually spent the night.
Oh,
awesome.
My former paranormal team, we actually took a road trip there. So if y'all wanted to do a road trip to Stanley Hotel, I would totally be in.
I think we all want to do that now. Yeah.
So fun fact, the twins from the movie, there are twins that haunt the hotel. They're teenage boys. And they're kind of.
So I can bring my big wheel.
But for diversity reasons, they changed it to girls in the movie.
Yeah,
I don't think he
Gender
was
swap.
actually.
Yeah.
I don't think he was actually aware of the twins when they made the movie. It's just because I travel with mediums. We were able to actually verify there was actually teenage twins, and they're kind of rambunctious.
Yeah, they're not scary or not creepy.
They're
just
not at all.
obnoxious and smell bad.
Pretty much. Well, the fun thing for me is when we got there, I actually made my reservation like the Monday before we left. We got there on a Friday. And we actually had stayed in a prison on the way. We didn't stay at the prison. We investigated the prison. And then the next day we were at the Stanley Hotel. When I got there, I go to check in and they're like, actually, you know what? We've given you a free upgrade to a suite. You're in the other building.
Oh.
So I got the really nice big room and I got the free continental breakfast, which nobody else got. So,
Nice.
A haunted continental breakfast?
It
A
possibly was
continental breakfast.
Yes. Zach, you're here for a good reason.
It was hauntingly delicious. So
That's
yes.
my Lucky Charms. Next up, we have Alcatraz.
Hey.
Okay, Alcatraz. This is on Alcatraz Island.
Otherwise known as The Rock.
In San Francisco, California. I think this is the second of 3 places that are in California. Actually, I think we've done all 3 places in California at this point.
So I didn't know about this, but preceding its years as a prison, it was used as an island for isolation for Native Americans.
Yep.
Like the tribes sent them there, whether for a short time or for a long time, but to live among the evil spirits on the island.
Well,
so this
that's
precedes
mean.
the prison.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea about.
Well, and even before the prison, it was a military fort.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a fort, and then it was a prison building, and then it became like for military, and then it became a prison building for the really bad people.
Yeah, that's during the times of the military prison. It was also a prison for civilians that were accused of treason. And then it became they actually tried to level at one point. They were going to use it for some other stuff, and then they built the prison that's there now.
Okay.
And the idea was this was, a very big prison surrounded by rocks and ocean and far away from anything. So it was like the inescapable prison.
Like cold, like crazy water. So I think there was actually 3 people that escaped, and they never found their bodies. So,
Yeah.
but it's like you said, the inescapable prison. This is where you sent people that you did not want to get out into the general public.
Yeah. So last resort prison, they called it.
And this operated as that prison from, I believe, 1906. And then it went all the way up until 1963 is when it closed as a prison. I believe they still do tours. Like you have to take a ferry out to the Alcatraz Island, and they do tours. And
I took
they
a
do-
ferry around it.
Yeah,
the
me
island,
too.
But I never went on it.
I think to actually get in the island, you have to wake up early, because I think that
Don't
the
they
tours
do
start at like
night
6 o'clock in the
tours
morning.
as well?
I don't know. I know people that have been there.
Lindsay, who was our guest previously, has been there at night.
Oh, that would be creepy.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's why. Here's the thing. I'm happy to go there during the day. I want to go to there during the day. I'm not spending a night in Alcatraz.
Why not? Have you heard about any of the spirits in there?
There, it's more a reputation. Like there were a lot of bad people there.
Sure.
Actually, one of the videos I watched was like this cute reunion of like inmates and guards that used to be there. Like they were all like 80s-year-old and bring them
Wow.
back. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But there was a lot of bad things that happened there, and that kind of just bad mojo happening on the island. I don't want to spend a night there.
Could you imagine like the echoey halls and just hearing anything in that?
Anything, and like
Yeah.
you clanking the bars or the prison doors closing. Ooh. They say that like it's already like it's deteriorating. The prison is deteriorating because of the salt air. It's one of the reasons it was expensive to do the upkeep on this prison. It's one of the reasons they closed it down. So yeah, I'm not spending the night there, but I'd be happy to visit for a day.
Phil Hartman once told me a real bad story about this place.
It's So I Married an Axe Murderer. Yeah, Vicky.
Yeah.
Vicky did.
What do you think, Beaker?
I give this a tier 1. I would not go there.
At all?
I would. No, I've actually investigated a prison. I did the Rawlins State Penitentiary in Wyoming. That was bad enough. I don't want to go near it. Like for the sake of the show, it's a tier 1. But yeah, I would go there, but I would definitely this is not one I would spend the night alone in at all. Like maybe if I had a group of like 50, 60, 100 people, but no, I would never spend the night alone in this place. There's just, in my opinion, too much bad juju.
Yeah.
Like Al Capone.
Yeah.
They say he's still there. You can hear him playing his guitar. And then just all the stuff like all the spirits from the Native Americans. I just don't want to mess with any of that. So this is a tier 1 for me.
Okay.
All right, so I just want to bring up one story. So a man was in isolation, obviously the hole that they have in many prisons.
For bad people.
And he says he's screaming, and he says, there's someone in here with glowing eyes with me. Ooh. And he's screaming throughout the night, and then when the guards inspected the cell the next morning, he was found dead, and he had this really emaciated expression on his face, just terrible, and noticeable handprints around his throat.
Oh.
And they said the autopsy revealed the strangulation was not self-inflicted. And
by
so,
himself.
because of that reason, I'm out.
Okay.
That is a visit during the day sort of place because it is history. There's just so much there. It's a really cool area as well. But I'm not staying there overnight by myself.
Okay.
It's just hey, let's do a happy tour. And I'll see you later.
Yeah.
I'd definitely go here
Like
yeah,
during
but
the
just
day?
for a little bit.
during the day.
Yeah.
100% during the day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you, but like I said, for the sake of the tier.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you
it's-
gotta sort it where you gotta sort it.
This was
Cool.
Prisons are just
Yeah.
energetically for me. They're no, thank you.
Dark. Next up, we have Isla de las Muñecas.
Cool. That's pretty good.
Sí.
What does that translate to?
This is Island of the Dolls.
Well, that sounds lovely.
It is not lovely.
Dolls.
Speaker, why don't you describe Isla de las...
Zach did it better.
He did. I can't talk.
I can't
Isla
say
de-
it, so that's why I'm just letting you guys run with it.
Isla de las Muñecas.
Island of the
Esta,
Dolls.
la biblioteca.
I speak Portuguese, not Spanish.
So this is in Mexico. This is
Xochimilco.
located in the canals of
Xochimilco.
Thank you.
Xochimilco?
Something like
Milko?
So this island, it was, I believe, started
I'm
in
so
like
glad you're reading these.
I'd Spanish on bad notes.
Yes.
So this island was started in about the 1950s by a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera. So he actually moved there. There's so many different reasons. They don't know the actual reason why he moved there. Some say it was just to get away from things. Some say that his wife, and he was having problems with his wife and his family. So they kind of kicked him out.
Just in isolation on this
Yeah,
island.
just in isolation.
Okay.
So he was like, he basically became the caretaker of this island that's like in the middle of these canals. I know the canals at one point were used like in wars back in the long time ago.
Okay.
They used to they would like throw bodies in the canals. And
Oh, great.
Yep. It's pretty much a graveyard.
Well, speaking of a body in the canal,
Yeah. So when he got there, shortly after he got there, he actually found the body of a little girl or a young girl in the canal. And I believe he tried to help her and couldn't save her.
Yeah.
And nearby where he found the body, he found a doll. He believed the doll that belonged to the little girl. So as a way to show like respect for her, he hung the doll up. Now he then started to believe that the spirit was going to be angry with him and was going to be vengeful. So he just kept collecting dolls like from trash cans or whatever. And he just started hanging these things all around the island. And they're not fully complete dolls. Sometimes they're just parts of dolls.
this seems like Sid from Toy Story. This is his paradise.
Yes.
These dolls are all just...
But they say that he started to do this because he began to hear whispers and footsteps and cries in the night in his hut in the middle of the woods. And so he started putting up these dolls to kind of appease the spirits and be like, okay, leave me alone. And he kept doing it for 50 years.
It's more voices. And this is now a tourist place where you'll take a ferry and go right past,
If you have the money and you bribe the right people, yes. I know some of the videos I watched on YouTube. I know the Mexican government had actually like closed it down, and some of the caretakers of the island were like, I can get in trouble for putting you on here, but if you give me enough money.
Well, and that's the thing is apparently it's so popular for tourists that there's people who've created a fake doll island. So you may be taken to an island that has dolls on it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is totally it," and it's not.
So this man was found dead, like 50 years later,
2001,
in the same place where he found the drowned girl.
Yep.
Yes, he died in 2001, and his body was reportedly found in the exact same spot where he found the girl's body 50 years before.
What about so Tim? You gonna stay here? You gonna visit?
I believe I put this one as a tier 3. I would definitely stay there overnight by myself.
By yourself?
No way.
With dolls whispering.
I lied. I put this as a tier 1.
Oh.
Okay, you put.
I went the wrong way. Yes, tier 1.
Yeah,
I
you wouldn't stay there at all.
I would not stay there for not the reason that you're thinking.
Because the dolls.
The dolls, yes, the dolls themselves are creepy. Tourists have actually said that they've heard the dolls whispering to each other.
Is that okay?
No. So, watching the videos again, having the knowledge that I have a friend at work that's actually from Mexico. He's been to the island. In the daytime, it's not creepy at all, but at the nighttime, I probably wouldn't want to wake up in the middle of the night and see all this creepy stuff. So I'm going with the tier 1 on this. I know that from the videos and from what I've seen, I don't think there's actually anything malevolent on the island, but the doll factor is just creepy enough for me. So tier 1, I'm not staying there.
I totally agree. I hear the doll's eyes move at times, maybe their limbs as well.
If they have eyes.
Yeah, precisely. And I don't want to mess with that. I haven't heard about any haunts like you're saying, but just being there at night when maybe a light could reflect off their eyes and I feel like that's surrounding me, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, and I did a blog post about this back in like 2010 because it creeped me out then. My current Facebook profile picture is from this.
Yes, it is.
From this place, this Isla de las Muñecas. I always want to say Muñecas.
You keep trying.
I keep trying. But residents do describe it as charmed, not haunted.
Okay.
But the thing is, like watching the video, it's like a 2-hour boat ride to go to this place. It's in the middle of nowhere. No one can hear you scream. Like this is a tier 1 for me. I don't want to go there. I've seen the videos, and that's good for me.
Yep.
I don't like your Facebook profile picture, Joel.
In general, or just during October?
So the next one. Next up, we have Chateau de Brissac.
Now that was a French accent.
It's in Maine-et-Loire.
Maine-et-Loire.
Oui, oui.
I'm bad. I don't do.
So many accents.
This is in France.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is in France.
Built in the 11th century, right?
Yeah, it was dubbed as the Giant of the Loire Valley. It's the highest castle in France, boasting 7 floors, 204 rooms, numerous portrait galleries, and a private opera house which seats 200 people. It was a fortress built by the Counts of Anjou in the 11th century, and King Louis VIII dropped by in 1620.
They say it's haunted because a man who lived there caught his wife cheating on him and ended up killing both her and her lover.
Yeah.
And so now she haunts the castle, the woman. They call her the Green Lady.
Why?
She wears a long green dress, pale skin, and holes where her eyes and nose should be. Mm-hmm. And she wanders the halls moaning.
La Dame Verte.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yes.
And so her lover used to haunt it as well, but apparently he left. She's still there.
He ghosted her?
Yeah. Keep it spooky.
Oh, right. Yes, yes.
But apparently she will... You can hear about 3 or 4 in the morning, very appropriate time, but she will moan in the hallways and sometimes just show up in the tower rooms, sometimes in bedrooms as well. And for that reason, this is a tier 1. I don't want to step inside this place. I think it looks cool. It looks like a mini castle, but I don't even want to go in this place just for that one spirit. That face, the very thought of it terrifies me.
It's from Scary Stories to the
Yeah,
Dark.
precisely.
For me, I'm actually okay with this one. I mean, it's a French chateau. It's a castle. It's luxury. It's nice. And, by the way, it was prominently featured as a temporary stadium for the Iron Chef French battles in the original Japanese Iron Chef television show.
Which I love that show.
Yeah. And so I'd be over there being like, it's a ghost with the smell of rotting flesh.
Yay!
No, but I don't have a problem with this one as much. I'd be happy to spend the night there. And
Spend the night alone?
yeah, let's spend the night alone.
What?
I'd be okay.
What if she shows up? She's got holes where her eyes were and where her nose is.
I know, but it's a French chateau.
Staring at you. You turn around. You hear noises. Okay, you wake up middle of the night.
Why am I waking up in the middle of the night?
Because you hear moaning at 3 in the morning.
I have kids.
You
I can
read-
sleep through a lot.
Your bladder ain't what it used to be.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And you turn around and there she is staring right through you. That's okay.
I'd give her a phone and send her to Tinder and be like, there you go. And someone else. You're
This
good.
isn't me.
Tim?
What do you think, Beaker?
I'm giving this a tier 2.
So
I
you would go there, but you would not go at night. Wouldn't stay the night
Yes, for the sake of the show, yes.
because you would go to all of them. We
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Yes.
You show no
Yeah.
fear.
There, like I said, there's 2 that I would legitimately not want to go to.
Have we hit one of those yet?
Alcatraz.
Okay.
Alcatraz is definitely one of those, for sure, tier 1s. I give this one a tier 2.
Okay.
I would go there. I have no problems with it. It's a fancy hotel. You can go do wine tastings.
Haunted
Did they
wine
have
tastings.
grape
Yeah,
juice
why
tastings?
not? Well, yeah, probably not.
Next up, we have the Myrtles Plantation.
So the Myrtles Plantation is located in St. Francisville, Louisiana. This was situated in a small town, which is northwest of New Orleans. It's the mansions of the Myrtle Plantation. It was bordered by a 120-foot veranda. The stained glass front door leads into a grand foyer, which displays a huge French crystal chandelier. There is at least 10 people that have been murdered in this mansion.
Back then?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been lots of reports of ghost sightings. The most famous of which is Chloe, who had her ear cut off by her lover.
And at least the version I heard, because there's a couple different versions. The version I heard is that Chloe was actually an abused slave who got her ear cut off because she was listening to the wrong conversation, or the wife found out that the husband was cheating with the slave. The slaves actually rose up, and this version I heard, and the other slaves rose up and hung her on a chandelier in the house to order to either as a punishment or to escape punishment from Mr. Woodruff, Clark Woodruff, who was who owned the plantation. They say that chandelier that she was hung on still rocks back and forth periodically.
Huh.
And that creeps me out a little bit.
Wasn't a family poisoned as well?
Oh, yes. Chloe ended up, that's actually one of the reasons. Let me rewind here. After she got her ear cut off in retaliation, she poisoned some food and hoped to give it to the master of the plantation.
Right.
But instead, the wife and children ate it, and they got sick and died, and that's when the slaves rose up.
So
against
are
her.
they haunting the place as well?
They say that Sarah, that was the name of the wife, and her children sometimes will appear in the mirror and leave handprints on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe
cannot
that
be
sometimes they like cover the mirror up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would as well.
And they say that ghost children will tug on your clothing. If you go through on the tour, they say sometimes the ghost children will tug on your clothing, but they say most of them appear to be friendly. There's also a ghost who reportedly walks, staggers, or crawls up the stairs.
Crawls?
And stops on the 17th step. Some say it's this man, William Drew Winter, the victim of the only verified murder in the house. There's lots of rumored ones. But he was shot on the front porch. And according to legend, staggered or crawled up the stairs, but collapsed on the 17th step. So,
Wow.
yeah. Also, there's apparently a blood stain in the doorway, roughly the size of a human body, that will not come clean.
So there's also reports of people seeing a child jumping on the beds. There's a soldier roaming around. There's a voodoo priestess. And there is a ghost of a previous owner who was shot in the chest and he's been heard staggering up and down the stairs where he died.
Yep.
Jeez. All right, Joel, are you leading us on this one?
Yeah, and I'm okay for a day visit on this one.
Yeah.
This is one where I don't think a lot of the activity happens during the day. So to do a tour of this one, even if a tour by myself, I think I'd be okay going through this one. Also, I might get some good southern food. But there does seem to be some bad vibes at this place. And so I'm like, I don't want to mess with anything here. But I'm okay getting a tour of the Myrtles Plantation.
Okay. What do you think, Beaker?
This is a haunted bed and breakfast now.
Yes, it is.
I would
And they lean
definitely-
into it. They give tours, haunted tours.
Yeah, their website is all about it. I gave this a tier 3. I would stay there.
No
Yeah.
problems?
No problems.
Yeah. All right, Kent.
I give it a tier 2. It's a day visit because it's nowhere I've needed to visit. Like I would never brag and say I went to the Myrtles Plantation. All I got was this free T-shirt or whatever.
But you need
It's-
some deep fried gator or
yeah.
something
So
like that.
that's a day visit for me.
Yeah.
I'd go on the tour.
All right, next up we have the Bhangarh Fort.
The Bhangarh Fort is located in Rajasthan, India. Right now, basically, that's all that's left is kind of the ruins of the fort. It's abandoned. But this was built in the 17th century. It consisted of fort walls, bazaars, havelis, royal palaces, and a number of temples. It also had 3 grand stories that people could explore.
This
But-
is said to be India's most haunted place.
Yes.
And it's crazy because we talk about how some of these places are tourist sites, but no one is allowed to enter the fort after sunset or before sunrise.
And according to legend, it's because a sadhu, a Hindu holy man, named Baba Balak Nath, he lived within the fort, and when they were constructing it, he said, okay, you can build it, and that's fine, I allow it, but if any shadow from this new building falls on my fort, then I will curse the town. And they didn't listen, and so he ended up cursing the entire town. And the fort, the entire place, he cursed them all that they would not be able to live there very long or whatever it was. But they ended up abandoning the place. It just abandoned. People left it after a while. The curse was fulfilled.
Jeez.
So before or after he did the curse, I guess he was in love with one of the princesses, and he actually enchanted some oil to make her fall in love with him.
Little love potion.
Yeah,
Sure.
Love potion number 9.
Yeah.
She didn't want it. She threw it out the window, I believe, and when she threw it, it turned into a boulder and crushed him.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually, yeah, there's 2 different stories. So, yeah, that was the wizard story.
So a lot of these places, you'll hear different stories. It's some of them you don't know which ones are the right
But
ones.
this folklore has turned into something where, yeah, like they'll put up signs and tell you not to go there.
Apparently, a bunch of people have been reportedly injured under unusual circumstances while visiting this. Whether that be they fall, something hits their head, they break an arm.
Because it's a lot of rubble, right? Like you are risking
Yeah.
your life.
And that's the thing is, going around a site like that's going to happen. But apparently, it's like a high number of people get injured while going there.
Another thing is I've read on one of the websites that they've tried to rebuild, and for whatever reason the roofs keep collapsing in. Like
It's cursed land.
yeah, it's cursed. They can't rebuild. This one I'm giving a tier 2. I would go there.
But you wouldn't spend the night.
I wouldn't spend the night. I would go there.
Just during the day because
Yeah.
you can go during the day.
This is definitely a day trip for me. I would go there.
Well,
take a tour.
I
and
feel
then
like you have
peace out.
experienced stuff like this. I just don't care for these feelings because they say people who go there, even during the day, you always feel as if you're being watched and the air is charged with a dizzying heaviness. And you've experienced that plenty
Yes.
of times.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't care for that vibe, honestly. I don't want to go in and feel like eyes are always on me and there's just this weight that I have to wait to leave. until I feel release, basically. This is a tier 1. I don't even want to step foot in this place.
That strongly?
Absolutely.
See,
what if you got trapped overnight? What if you couldn't leave?
Well, I'm not, because I'm just going to spend the day there.
Okay.
The tier 2 for me, I'm going to visit for the day. When I watch the videos of this one, it is like on the near this beautiful hill, and there's like a pond and like trees, and it just looks so beautiful. And I was like, I'd really like to visit there someday. That looks like a great place. Don't want to spend the night there because that's creepy. And actually,
you may not survive.
They say they don't let people there, but I saw these people, the couple videos of the people sneaking in during the night to go there, and I'm just like, no, not
okay.
Me. So yeah,
Isn't
that's how scary it would be. Start
Bhangarh
miles
Fort
away from like New
That's,
Delhi too.
Probably
Bhangarh Fort. So Bhangarh Fort.
Next up, we have the Castle.
Thank you.
Of Good Hope.
The Castle of Good Hope.
This one is actually located in Cape Town, South Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa.
Thanks, guys.
Why do we have to do that, Zach? You do it too every time.
So this, I believe, is the oldest building in South Africa. This was built in 1666 by the Dutch East India Company. They built this. It was used as a replenishment station for ships and as a military fortress and a prison during the Second Boer War, which lasted from 1899 to 1902. In the 1700s, Governor Pieter van Noot condemned several men to be hanged. One of the men cursed the governor before they were hung, and later that day, the governor actually suffered a heart attack and died.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to punish people here, so dismemberment, dragging through the castle, attached to a horse, piercings with a stake at the gallows, whippings, beatings, long periods of isolation, horrific stuff happening.
To this day, you can go on part of the tour is go down and see the torture chamber where a lot of these atrocities occurred. People say that you can hear screaming, whips, chains. People feel cold spots. People feel like they're being watched the entire time. They also say there's a black ghost dog that haunts the castle and roams around.
Also in 1915, they first spotted the tall man, which is seen on the top of the walls. And in 30 years later, people are saying not only are we seeing him, he's jumping off the walls.
Yeah.
He's walking around, kind of just watching everyone. There's also a lady in gray who's seen crying hysterically and running through the castle. And also the bell in the bell tower rings on its own after a soldier, like kind of reenacting a soldier being hung.
Even though they've walled up the bell, like it's no longer in use, and people still say they hear the bell ringing.
But given all that, I'm going to take a little tour.
Day tour?
This is a day tour for me. This sounds like there's a lot of history there, especially like with the pirate history. I really want to see what all went into that. The architecture in the pictures looked really cool to me. I would never stay there overnight because horrible things happened, and I don't want the tall man or the dog to come after me. So it's a day tour, and I'm going to leave quickly. I'll be the first one back on the boat.
I'll take a day tour as well, Ken. We can go together.
Great.
Although I think in this context of the tier 2 level is you go there for the day by yourself as well, which would be kind of freaky.
None of this.
Yeah. So yes, I'm going to give it a day visit as well.
I am going to have to agree with you guys. This is a tier 2 for me as well.
All right. Next up was the Banff Springs Hotel.
Banff.
We
That's
talked
the
about
second
this
time we talked about Banff this season.
In our Canada show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first saw this popping up on the first website I went to, I'm like, oh, I hope this pops up on more. Kent's going to love this one. This gives him a reason to go to Banff, maybe.
I actually had no idea about this when I was talking about going.
Yeah, so I didn't know that, but I knew that like you talked about Banff, and when I saw this on the list, I'm like, yeah, he's probably going to love this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Haunted location in the place that he wants to go to.
Yes, please.
So this is in Alberta, Canada. It was styled after Scottish baronial castle. It was built in 1888 to encourage tourism and sell train tickets. It is one of Canada's great railway hotels and reportedly one of the most haunted buildings in the country. Some of the ghosts that are there's a bride who fell down the staircase and broke her neck when she panicked after her dress caught on fire.
Oh,
as you do.
You would.
She's often seen in the ballroom dancing with the flames coming off the back of her dress.
so I guess she didn't get cold feet.
No. Keep the atmosphere, Ken.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Dumb
There's too many jokes.
Spoopy.
It's not. Don't say spoopy.
There's also a family that was murdered in room 873. The door to this room has since been bricked up, but the family can still be seen in the hallway outside the room.
There is, they had gotten rid of room 873. It's like, it's just not there. It's just wall. They say that one woman, when she spent the night there, she woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't move, paralyzed. And she looks over and she saw an apparition of a woman floating in the air, surrounded by candles on the floor, and she's looking. And the ghost woman, was looking into the mirror, but the woman said she couldn't see the ghost reflection in the mirror.
What?
So creepy. And you can't say that. Room 873 is gone. They also say the ghost bride, by the way, is so famous that they put her on stamps and coins. Like, it's just it's a popular thing around there, I guess.
That's cool.
And they also have a ghost, Sam the Bellman. He died in the 1970s, but he's a friendly ghost who people see around, like, fixing things. And
so he's a
around.
Canadian ghost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing: is if you try to talk to him or you try to give him a tip, he just vanishes.
But this one also has a bowling alley, a tennis court, a swimming pool, 27-hole golf course. Yeah, sure. Only a few of the rooms are haunted, but it's only a few of the rooms.
Are you going to play golf?
Bloody handprints may appear on some of the mirrors, but not all of them. So I'm going to spend the night.
That's written on my car mirror somewhere.
But I would spend the night here in Banff Springs Hotel alone. It seems like a lovely place, and the ghosts, for the most part, seem very kind.
I would also stay here.
Yeah.
This is a tier 3 for me as well. I would stay here over the night, not a problem. You can't get to the most haunted room because they bricked it off.
What if they opened it up? Do you still stay there by
I would
yourself?
Still stay there by myself.
Okay.
Because it's a family. Maybe they're just like, hey, let's hang out.
Yeah, what's crazy though in Banff, like we talked about
I'm
this.
pretty sure if a ghost said, "Hey, let's hang out," I'd be like, "I'm good."
Hey, want to hang out?
So that's the difference between you and me. Like, I go looking for ghosts to talk to them.
Yes, you do. And you're like, do you want me to cleanse this place?
Yeah.
This is a beautiful hotel. In the winter, it can be quite isolated as well. So it would be scary to be by yourself, but at the same time, it would be great. The rooms are fantastic. Like, sign me up all night long.
Banff Springs Hotel, if you're listening, hook us up.
Hey guys, should we all go stay here?
Yes.
So I think we're all.
Is that you
going,
too?
Oh, I'd go.
I think the 4 of us are going to the Stanley Hotel and the Banff.
I think so.
I'm in on that one.
Yeah. If it's a resort, we're in.
Next up is the Poveglia.
Poveglia.
Next up is Poveglia Island.
This is located off of the coast of Italy, near Venice and Lido. The first historical record of this island, of people inhabiting it, was in 421. It was inhabited up until about 1379, when people fled because of warfare. This was like a little isolated island. People went here to flee, like, the main Italy, and they lived here tax-free, and they did their thing. But it was because of all the warfare and stuff like that, and they fled the island. And then you get the bubonic plague.
Yeah.
This became a place where if you showed any signs of sickness, you were on a boat and you were being shipped over to this island.
Yep.
Even if it wasn't the plague, if it was a cough, just if it was a cold, you're going to the island. I think is they got to the point to where people died, or if the people were too weak to defend themselves, they were burned at the pyre.
Wow.
It's rumored that a lot of the topsoil, like 50% of the soil on this island, is not soil. It's the remains of these people.
Yeah, they say
It's
160,000 people reportedly have died here.
And they say that it's very green because the ground is very fertilized.
Oh,
and
wow.
They
Oh,
have,
my word.
they have what they call plague pits.
I didn't know about this.
Where you didn't? Oh,
No.
I would hear your tear. They basically mass graves. They have found multiple remains of just mass graves on there where they just threw people in and burned them and buried them.
Yep.
So yes, it was a quarantine station for plague and other diseases, and then it became a mental hospital. There was on the building there was a cabana, a church, a hospital, an asylum, a bell tower, and administrative buildings.
Hey, where should we build this hospital? I don't know, on plague ground?
It's insult to injury at this point. So then they had this mental hospital here, and apparently it was not good. It was a bad place. There were a doctor who performed many experimental lobotomies on patients, and he reportedly was so haunted by the ghosts of these people that he had wronged that he jumped from the bell tower in the 1930s after claiming he'd been driven mad by ghosts. This is not a great place.
Well, after it ended up becoming a geriatric hospital.
Oh yeah.
Like it became an old folks home. And again, it's kind of like
Triple whammy of haunting.
Unfortunately,
here.
like Waverly Hills is not on this list, but
Next time.
it's very similar to Waverly, where
Selena Gomez.
No.
grandma's got dementia. You don't want to deal with her anymore. You're shipping her off to Poveglia Island, so you don't have to worry about it.
A lot of bad stuff going on at this place.
It's where
Right?
you've shipped off your old people that you didn't want to deal with anymore.
Beaker, where do you stand on this?
This is my other absolute tier 1. I will not go there. I don't know. I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not going to this island. There's no way you're getting me there.
I didn't know about plague pits.
That was the tipping point.
So just
not
the
mental hospital.
Honestly, the ash, the fact that it's ash is a creepy visual, right? I've never been here. I will never go here probably, but I would go for the day, I think, and really not want to be haunted by 160,000 screaming, tortured souls.
So
the other part is the Italian government has basically shot it off, and you're trespassing if you go there.
Well, there's signs and everything up. I watched this YouTube video of these guys that were going there, and it was actually pretty hilarious because they're like, we're going to Poveglia Island, and it's so hard to get to. You're never going to be, they don't want you to go there. You're never going to find it. The first taxi they find, they're like, can we go to Poveglia Island? Yeah, sure. And so he takes them there. But they say they can only spend 2 hours there. It was during the day, and then you have to come back. And they said the whole time they were there was bad feelings all over that place. Just like there's an eerie silence there. There's not a lot of animals or anything like that. And so I don't want to go there. This is a tier 1, wouldn't stay there for me. I don't want to go there. Based on the video I watched and the stuff I read, I'm like, no, that's 3 strikes of bad things happening on this island. You're out.
Zach, you want to go?
Oh, I wouldn't go here.
You wouldn't go here with
Yeah.
me?
No.
Yeah,
We'll take a taxi.
By the way, in case you want to look it up, it's Poveglia Island.
Nope.
Poveglia
I
Island.
should change it to tier 1, honestly, but I've already used up all my tier 1s.
You say me tier 1s?
Yep, me tier 1s.
And finally, we have the Tower of London.
Tower of London. You'll never guess where this one's located.
This one, obviously, London, England. It would be weird if it was somewhere else and called the Tower of London.
Like Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
Where the Tower of London is.
Wait, Joel, have you
I-
been here?
Yes.
Okay.
Love the history of this place. This one actually started in 1070, 1066 actually, when the Normans invaded England and William the Conqueror kind of successfully invaded England. He wanted to establish his leadership, his ruler leadership, and he was afraid of like the English revolting and uprising against him. So he started building this fort on the River Thames. And over the years, it just kind of built up and built up. Like it took 20 years to actually build this fort, and it became a place where royalty actually lived. So all the royalty lived there.
In the tower or near the tower? Or just it wasn't a tower yet?
It wasn't a tower. I think
Okay.
it was just basically it was a fort, and they just start building it up. So,
Okay.
Well, because there's a tower in the middle they call the White Tower, and there's a kind of bunch of other buildings in there. I believe I know there's a church, there's a crypt, like there's a bunch of stuff in there.
All right.
This building has actually been several places throughout the years. It served as the Royal Mint at one point. It was the Royal Armories, and it also had a zoo there. They brought in a lot of animals, and
They have like statues there now of some of the animals.
Okay.
One of the weird things, I don't know if it's creepy, but it's kind of creepy, is they have to keep ravens at the Tower of London. A group of at least 6 captive ravens are resident at the Tower of London because the superstition holds that if the Tower of London's ravens are lost or fly away, the crown will fall and Britain with it.
What?
They have
so
to
even
keep
if
these
there's
ravens there.
only 5 ravens, or
You have to
anything
have
like
6
that.
ravens.
So this nation that at one point took over like most of the world, solely reliant on ravens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Powered by ravens. So they have the Tower Green, which is in this square, this Tower of London, where people were beheaded. Not like regular people. This was like the elite were beheaded here. 2 English queens and several other British nobles were beheaded there, and they have a little monument there that you can see of where they were beheaded.
Well, famously, Anne Boleyn.
Yes. She's one of the most famous ones on there.
And she still wanders the grounds.
And apparently she brought in a ringer. She didn't want, apparently, when you get there, the beefeaters, as they call them, the guards there, they tell these amazing stories. And they talk about how some of the beheadings didn't go very well. It's not as easy as you may think.
So you're probably talking about Margaret Pole, the Countess of Salisbury.
Yes.
Great steak.
She was executed in 1541. They accused her, I believe, of adultery. When they executed her, they told her to kneel down, and she refused. She said, "So should traitors do, and I am none." She was basically saying, "I'm not kneeling because I didn't do anything wrong."
There's no honor in this, basically.
Pretty much. And she booked it. She took off running. And the executioner, axe in hand, chased. And he just kept hitting her and hitting her and hitting her until she eventually died.
I hear this is reenacted by the spirits as well.
There's a lot of, they say there's ghosts, including Henry VI, Lady Jane Grey, Margaret Pole, And then I want to take a moment here to talk about the princes in the tower.
Okay.
Lady Jane Grey
So-
and her husband, Lord,
Yes.
Lord Godfrey Dudley, I believe.
So I walked through the tower, and it was really cool. Actually, there was a fire alarm midway through, so we had to evacuate for a bit. But the main White Tower. But they have like all this armor in there. They have the crown jewels. It's an amazing, like, cool experience the whole time. I'm like, this is so cool. Not creepy at all. And then they have this section where they talk about the princes in the tower. Because there were these two young princes. When I say young, probably like, I want to say
I think they were 10
9
and 12.
Yeah, like
So
around that
there.
age. And they were next to be in line of the royalty. And their uncle did not approve of that. I believe it was their uncle.
Yeah, it was their uncle, Richard III.
Yes. And so they disappeared.
They
And
vanished.
he ended up, actually, did he end up ascending the throne or he ended up dying before?
He ended up, that's what made him Richard III.
Yes, that's right.
So he was, I believe, just a governor or something like that. He was a lord. He wasn't supposed to take the throne. But because these two boys went missing, he then became the next king.
And then in 1674, workmen at the tower dug up from under the staircase a wooden box containing 2 small human skeletons.
Oh,
I believe they were actually able to do some sort of like testing and whatnot, and then they were able to actually confirm that these skeletal remains.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. But
The rumor is that these remains are the two princes.
but they have a video kind of telling the stories you're walking through, and I really did get one of those kind of just
well,
creepy
visitors
vibes.
say they can hear giggling, which they report are the princes. Also, another spirit, another haunting is there, saying there's a ghost of a bear.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
around
it's because
here.
they have the zoo there.
Because of the zoo.
I never really understand animal hauntings.
There's a lot of animals, not just the bear, but the bear's the main one. There was the guard that actually saw the bear, like the ghost charging him.
Yeah.
And he like went to stab it, and the thing just went through.
And they said the guard was carried senseless to his quarters, where he died 2 days later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the bear didn't get him. I mean, it's a ghost bear.
Yep.
But he died of fright maybe 2 days later.
It's very possible. I mean, how would you feel? Even if it's just a ghost. If
I wouldn't be
a
okay
giant
with
bear
it.
came charging you.
But I'm going to stay overnight.
Wow.
Because I want to watch history unfold. As freaky as it may be, I don't feel threatened here. I think even seeing if the worst happened, right? Seeing these historical figures, even in horrific circumstances, would be something I'd never forget. I may die 2 days later, but I'm going to have to take that risk.
Yeah.
So it's a tier 3.
So I wanted to bring up this too, Kent.
Plague pits, I know.
Trader's Gate. So there's one on the River Thames. There's an entrance there, and it's called Trader's Gate, and that's where they brought in prisoners. That's where the traders would be able to come through. They wouldn't be able to come through the regular gates to go through Trader's Gate.
Okay.
And one of the things that was kind of disturbing they talked about there is that they would, when the prisoners were brought in, the heads of recently executed prisoners were displayed on spikes around Trader's Gate when you go through there.
Sounds like Bran Castle.
Yeah. Kind of does. But having been there, having experienced it during the day, I think I'd be okay spending the night alone here.
Wow.
So I'm giving this one a tier 3. I'll spend the night here. I'm
right.
fine with that.
Unfortunately, I've already used up all of my tier 3s. This one is a tier 2 for me.
All right.
But you would have gone a tier 3 had you not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, this was when we were trying to wrap up the tiering before we started recording. This is the one that I was having a hard time with. It was this.
It's a high
and-
tier 3. That's what we call
so,
that.
Yeah, high tier 3.
It exists, but it's there.
I would love to stay there, but I have to give it a tier 2 because that's all I have left.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we've completed our list.
Yeah, so those are the 13 most, shall we say, popular haunts around
But
the
yeah,
world.
I guess most popular haunts because of the ones that were
Popular
listed.
is an interesting choice of
Yeah.
word.
Most popular haunted places.
And you definitely won't, collectively, be staying at the Island of the Dolls.
Nope.
No.
That is the one you
There's
all
no
said
way,
that you
no.
would not.
Well, because Ken didn't know about Poveglia.
I didn't.
Kent may have upgraded that
Yeah,
one.
if I could.
Yeah. And then we are all going, as previously mentioned, to the Stanley Hotel.
Yay.
And Banff Springs Hotel.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Lovely.
So let us know. We want to know where would you stay at these places overnight, all alone, by yourself, which is what all alone means, or would you take a day trip there, or would you just not go there ever? We want to know on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Talk back to us. We enjoy hearing from you, especially during the spooky season of October. We really enjoy it. By the way, Tim, a little bit here. Anything you want to plug or anyone to give a shout out to here at the end of the show?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to my co-hosts on the EVP podcast, the Bucco Boys. They go by Ghosty and DVO on the show.
Nice.
But they have their podcast called the Bucco Boys Podcast. They recently had a guest on that was an owner of a food truck. They talk about all sorts of things on their podcast as well, so I'll just give them a quick shout out.
Nice.
And thank you once again for coming on here, for doing this show, for letting me do the research, because I had a lot of fun with these places. And hopefully, you said there was like, how many on your original list?
74.
74. Hopefully we get to more of them later on. But thank you. I really do appreciate it.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, no, I was glad that when you're like, let's tone this down to like 13, because I was 74, I had it down to 26. You're like, let's go, you cut it in half even more. And doing all the research, I'm like, I'm really glad we're only doing 13. I'm like, I've done way more preparation for this episode than I have for any of my episodes.
Don't tell anyone else.
Well, it shows. I was going to say, you seem very knowledgeable, and we're glad to have you here as an expert. So thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
But before we go, we want to thank some of our patrons in a couple of special categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, where we have Terry A. Finley, Sean Sandquist, Baconsale Council member wannabe Kyler, Alicia Bass, Scott Sprague, Braden Winterton, Chris Strout, Jennifer Kokowski, Adam and Rachel Crump, Rocky and Steph, Plot Twist Media, Babs, Glow Daniel, Shannon West, and Allison Gall. And then we have our Bacon Council, which includes Chris Anderson, Nick Knack 40 Wax, Ryan and Marley Farron, Motts, Stephen Ross, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, our favorite couple, the Madsons, The Shadow, Beaker.
Hey,
That is
it's me.
the Shadow, Ken's friend, currently says.
Hey, he's my friend.
That was supposed to be last week. I was going to change it to Zach's friends this week.
Thank you. And of course, Reverse Listener. Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. And by the way, patrons, you also have a special October giveaway just for you. Just for being a patron of Baconsale, you are automatically entered for this extra giveaway. For more details, you can listen to our Bacon Bit, but we're giving you some money for some Halloween. So, pretty cool. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midbell Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me at Twitter and Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale on social media. Go ahead and like that Facebook page and stop by Twitter and Instagram at Baconsale. You won't regret it if you do. While you're doing that, go to tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some fun merch. The recommendation I'm going to give you, I love my Evolution Baconsale horror t-shirt. I love it. I wear it all the time. I would get it in cream, by the way. It's a great shirt. tpublic.com/Baconsale. And then if you like the show, you like what's happening here, and you'd like to support us further, go to patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You can get a bunch of extra goodies, including basically weekly Bacon Bits, where we talk about a lot. A lot happened this past week. I couldn't even go into it.
And you can be automatically entered into a contest as well, just for being a patron.
Wow. Patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, would you go to the Bacon Cave alone, or are you just going to make a day trip?
You look good. You sound great.
I did my hair today.
Yay!
Nancy Drew.
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys.
Come on.
Joe and Frank. Come on.
Oh, I would go there, but I wouldn't spend the night.
Yeah.
That's a review of Ken Dunn. Spoopy places.
Okay, everyone, the Bacon Cave is in Asylum 49. Now you know.
Look, don't talk about logic in naming your podcast here on Baconsale.
Curse your curiosity.
Yes, very much so.
2020 was kind of rough for me, and I just felt...
Just you. Okay.
Really?
Yep. I put on the French maid outfit, and I go...
Wow.
It's all part of the cleansing.
Yeah.
Spoopy.
Yeah.
Spoopy.
No, stop saying spoopy.
I don't know what's going on, but I will hold those stones.
Yep. Just that worded off spirits and women.
Kent sounds like this. Yes. And Joel sounds like this. Yes.
You've been my favorite host.
Oh, thank you for saying that now. I'll take it, I guess.
That show lost to a potato.
I would like something to pinch me as I'm going on a tour.
I always want that.
There was only one working toilet in Winchester.
Oh, I'm out. That
okay,
one.
I'm the chicken.
Never apologize for garlic.
Oh, there's a demon. Is the high priestess single?
I don't
Stop
know.
it.
Ankles.
Ankle ghost.
A haunted continental breakfast?
It's
A
possibly-
continental breakfast.
Yes.
I don't like your Facebook profile picture, Joel.
In general or just during October?
So the next one.
It's a ghost with the smell of rotting flesh.
So I guess you didn't get cold feet. Spoopy.
It's not. Don't say spoopy.
Oh, my word.
You.
Selena Gomez.
No. Give us the patron, Zachary.
The patrons are the ones listening
To the uncut show we're doing right now. This is what we do when we don't know what we're doing.
Spoopy and it's uncut.
Stop saying spoopy.
I didn't know about plague pits.